sometimes I'll try and figure out what the hell I'm doing and why I'm making these videos and like big picture concepts that kind of guide what I'm trying to do. And I've spoken a lot about different aspects of that. But I was thinking about it recently. Philosophy has become, to some extent, kind of the center of gravity of it. I think it's what I enjoy most. I think it's what I'm most passionate about. I think in many ways it's super useful and functional to think about philosophy. And I say that because to me, there's like a first principles nature to it. Um, Philosophy, in the way I think of it, is thinking about our thinking, but thinking about it in the context of meaning, objective, right? I always say you have to start with your objective. Anything you're looking to do, anything you're looking to assess, you have to think, well, what's my objective? What am I trying to do here? Then I can determine how I want to assess it, how I want to think about it, how I want to act upon it. So there's this kind of objective nature to it. You're trying to figure things out. What does it all mean? And I thought about the phrase cognitive philosophy. Normally, I talk about cognitive psychology, or people talk about cognitive psychology, and that's meant to study the mind and understand how the mind works, right? And if you compare that to more traditional psychology as we think about it, that's just understanding people's thoughts and their feelings. And again, the way I think about it, cognitive psychology takes it to much more of like a root principle level, a first principle level, to say, I want to understand your thinking, I want to understand your emotions and feelings, but I want to do it in the context of your actual brain and what's going on in there and how does the brain function and what's happening behind it, what are the underpinnings of it. And I think in many ways when it comes to philosophy, that's what I'm looking to do too. I want to understand the big picture, the meaning of life, why we're here, what makes us happy, what we should go after in life, how we should think about our values. But I want to do it in that cognitive way. I want to do it understanding and accounting for and acknowledging the cognitive aspects of it, how our mind plays into that, because I think it's so relevant, it's so critical. I talk about this stuff all the time, but the way our minds function, the flaws of the mind, the way in which our subconscious tries to process things, and some of it around efficiency, some of it to try and protect us and protect our ego, all of that is relevant to philosophy, right? Because philosophy ultimately is a human thing. It's something that we think about, we've created, we've generated. So by definition, to think about philosophical questions most effectively, we have to account for the fact that our minds are the things that are driving that. And understanding how our minds work and how it plays into those questions and trying to think about answering those questions, to me, is critical. Again, because it gets us back to that first principles aspect of it. If I want to think about or assess somebody's philosophy on life and how we should live and what it all means, I need to do it in the context of that cognition and how they're thinking and how our minds work, because that's how I'll evaluate it more effectively. And I just think when we try and think about that to get closer to whatever objective truths or functional truths might be out there that help us get a better grasp on the world, get a better grasp on our thinking, there has to be that cognitive aspect to it. We have to factor that into it. And it kind of brings in that overall logical approach to it, right? We're trying to connect dots. We're trying to follow threads that can give us some sense of confidence that there's a truth here, right? Where I sit, there's no guarantees, there's no absolute certainties in life, but we follow the thread, we follow the logic, and we try and piece it together to what it most likely is. And when you think about that in terms of philosophy, I think that cognitive aspect to it, really understanding the mind, helps to bring more of that to it. It helps you to connect. It gives you more dots to try and connect. It gives you more clarity and understanding of what's happening. So I think when I think about philosophy, that's how I think of it. And that doesn't dismiss other types of philosophy. I think other people have done that before. And I think that's something it's been an ongoing process for hundreds, if not thousands of years. But I think framing in that way is useful for me, but I also think it might make it more functional and practical for other people. Often people hear philosophy and they think, that's kind of nonsense. It's wishy-washy. You're just thinking about big meta topics. Like, why is that useful to me? I think when you add in that cognitive aspect to it, it makes it a little bit more real. It makes it something that is a little more tangible and people can get their hands around and they can see the true kind of functionality of it, the true benefit it could bring.